With the 2020 season now fully underway and next year's schedule right around the corner, many have speculated that the 2021 schedule will be a complete overhaul of the NASCAR calendar, due to an endless number of rumors circulating around promising just that. So before the schedule officially drops, I thought it might be a good idea to throw my hat into the ring and show y'all what I have in mind for 2021. But before we get too far into this, there's a few things to note. First of all, this is not a prediction list. This is simply to show what I would do if I was at the helm of NASCAR and had the final say in these kinds of decisions. Secondly, this list is grounded in some semblance of reality. All of these tracks must exist in a pretty much ready-to-race state as of right now. We only have 1 year to get these tracks up to date, so they pretty much have to be shovel-ready. Next, you should know I am an agent of chaos. I do not believe in half measures. NASCAR's in the dumps and I'm of the opinion that it'll take some major swings to get back on top. Now is not the time to play it safe, and I am more than willing to burn the conventions of the schedule down to the ground in order to return us to our former glory. And finally, and perhaps most importantly of all, in this scenario I am God Emperor of NASCAR. I can basically do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about previous agreements or making SMI happy, because I rule NASCAR with an iron fist, and if you don't like it, well, too bad. So without further ado, let's get into it. In December and January, much like in the previous years, there's nothing to report. It's the off season, and besides a few testing sessions, nothing's going on. Fast forward to February 7th and Super Bowl 55 has just wrapped up, and hopefully the evil empire of Bill Belichick and the Patriots have been held at bay. But next week we have a race to run. Now NASCAR have already released their plans for 2021 Speed Weeks, and I don't like them, to be honest. Yes, I know they're trying to condense the schedule, but I'm going to do that too, so just bear with me. I don't think Speed Weeks, our big hype up to start off the season, is a good place to start condensing things down. I've always liked the steady build-up of Speed Weeks. ARCA Night in America, the Clash, the Duels, the Trucks, the Xfinity Series, and then finally the Daytona 500. I have the Clash running on Sunday the 14th, but I'm not doing a 20-lap shootout on the big oval like Dale Jr. wants. And I'm certainly not running on the Roval like NASCAR is already committed to doing. I really question the wisdom of putting only 20 or so cars on a 3-mile long road course. It doesn't exactly lend itself to too many opportunities for a whole lot of action to occur. In my timeline, we're going to do something way different. Do you remember the battle at the beach in 2013? Well, if you don't, here's the rundown. Some mad lad had the idea to create a 2/5 of a mile short track on the backstretch of Daytona, and they let the Modifieds, ARCA West, and the All-American Late Models race there throughout Speed Weeks. And that led to some awesome moments, including the late great Mike Stefanik giving one of the greatest post-race interviews of all time.
I'm just gonna say the wrong thing here. I am that freaking pissed. It's just bullshit.
So let's just hold the Clash Sunday night under the lights on this insane little temporary track. Yeah, the backstretch grandstands aren't there anymore, but we'll bring in some temporary seating and make it happen. It's pretty much just all flat, unused pavement anyway, so let's get cracking. The rest of Speed Weeks continues on as normal. The Daytona 500 will run Sunday the 21st, and I'll be running it at noon to have a little bit more time to work with in the event of rain. I know that'll make some people very happy, and it also gives teams just a few extra hours to load up and head out for the West Coast swing just the very next week. But I'm doing one other thing to give teams some more time to drive across the country. The second race of the season will be Las Vegas Motor Speedway under the lights on Monday night. NASCAR, historically speaking, actually does pretty well in prime time when it's scheduled, and they don't have to worry about football hogging the spotlight. Here we can kill two birds with one stone, and for the lower divisions I have a change-up in mind as well. How about we send the trucks to the Bull Ring and the Xfinity Series to the dirt track? Here we have a state-of-the-art facility with all these tracks and amenities, and we only use one currently. So let's sell these places out and shake things up a bit. The trucks already run dirt at Eldora, so I'll keep that race special and let the Xfinity guys run dirt for once. Those races will take place on the weekend under the lights as well. Sound good? Tell me what you think. Just because I'm God Emperor of NASCAR doesn't mean I'm not open to suggestions. Continuing on to week 3, we head out to California but go north and knock out Sonoma Sunday afternoon on March the 7th. Have you seen the February and March testing sessions there for IndyCar? That place is just gorgeous. And yeah, I know it's the rainy season and that's why everything's green, but we run rain tires now, so let's go ahead and make use of them. After that, not too much changes for a couple of weeks. Auto Club in Phoenix will run on the ensuing Sunday afternoons, and then we head back to the East Coast and get a little bit of downtime before we try out what everybody has been begging for, midweek racing. March 31st, under the lights at Homestead-Miami Speedway. This will be a nice experiment to see how midweek racing works out in a big market. Hopefully it gets the TV ratings and fan turnout that everybody was hoping for. And then after taking that weekend off, we head to the revitalized Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for a Saturday night showdown on the 10th of April, replacing the Spring Bristol race, which has had less than stellar turnout. SMI have been in talks to make something like this happen for a while now, and in my timeline they finally get it to go through. For the first time in 37 years, Nashville will host the Cup Series, and it should be a wild one. Next Saturday night on the 17th, we do the same thing, but this time in Martinsville. This May in 2020, we tried the track out for the first time under the lights, and hopefully we can carry that momentum into 2021 for a big turnout. Hype is big right now for it, and I see no reason why that should go away for 2021. Texas Motor Speedway returns us to Sunday afternoon racing on the 25th, and now is the time I should let you all know that you've seen a lot of tracks for the first and only time this year. Yeah, Texas and most of the others are getting relegated to single showings this year. But worry not, Texas NASCAR fans, for I have a proposal that I'm sure you're going to love. Here's where we jump around the schedule a little bit, and I'd like to introduce you to the Texas Triple Crown. It consists of 3 races, each one a drastically different discipline of racing than the others. Obviously, there's the 1.5 mile Speedway Oval at Texas Motor Speedway, and then we had the July 24th race in Houston, where we race around the Astrodome and NRG Stadium in the same configuration that Champ Car did in 2006 when they raced there under the lights. There's a ton of open area and parking to work with, and NASCAR has flirted with the idea of racing around stadiums. So here we have an opportunity to put on a legit street race in a big market. The Winston West Series already did this back in the 80s when they raced around the Tacoma Dome, so let's do this. And then there's the final leg of the Texas Triple Crown, which is perhaps the most obvious venue, the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, on October the 3rd. With F1 and IndyCar races, COTA is an obvious spot to send NASCAR. It's a big, fast, state-of-the-art, ready-to-go facility. If there was ever a match made in heaven, this is it. And here's the big kicker to the Texas Triple Crown. If one driver can win all 3 events, they take home a $3 million payday. Big cash payouts have always been a hit with fans, and here we can do something similar. Like it? Don't like it? Well, either way, never fear, because I'm doing what NASCAR has already decided to do in our timeline, and I'm signing all of these tracks to 1 or 2 year agreements. So if something doesn't work out, then we can always wipe the slate clean and try again. Getting back on schedule, so to speak, let's return to the first half of the year where we head to Talladega on the 2nd of May, and then to Richmond Saturday night on the 8th. We then head up Dover on Sunday the 16th, and then it's All-Star Race weekend. Now historically we've had the All-Star Race as a multi-stage shootout on the 1.5 mile oval, but I want to shake things up a bit. The All-Star Race will now be held as a 100-lap feature Saturday night on the dirt track just to the west of the Speedway. Qualifying positions will be determined by your quarter-mile times at ZMAX Dragway right next door. The criteria of who gets into the All-Star Race will remain the same. Winners in the last year and so far this year, past All-Star winners and past champions. However, I'll allow the top 2 non-qualifiers who post the fastest speeds at the Dragway in as well. There will also be 2 25-lap preliminary races on the dirt track for guys who aren't already qualified to race their way in. And of course, there's still the fan vote too. Longtime viewers of this channel know what happens next after the All-Star event. Wednesday night NASCAR at Bowman Gray Stadium in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, on the 26th, just an hour up the road from Charlotte. There will probably be 40 cars attempt to make the field, so the top 20 qualifying times will make up a 200-lap A main with a halftime break to make pit stops and adjustments. The back 20 will race it out in a 50-lap B main, where the top 2 will transfer into the main event. And after all the damage is done at Bowman Gray, we hustle back down to Charlotte for the 600 on Sunday night, the day before Memorial Day. Starting in June, we'll start up what I'm going to call the Midwest Swing. We start off with Kansas on Saturday night, the 5th of June, and then we follow it up with Cleveland Sunday afternoon on the 13th. What racetrack is in Cleveland, Ohio? Well, there isn't one. But there is the Burke Lakefront Airport, which has historically been one of the best temporary circuits in American motorsports history. IndyCar used to race there every year, and there's been a lot of talk about them returning. So why don't we beat them to the punch, or even have them as a doubleheader? If you've never seen a race at Cleveland, then you've been missing out big time. It's bad, fast, chaotic, and the best part, you can see every inch of the track from the grandstands, even the pits. Tens of thousands of people used to pour into the stands for this race every year, and NASCAR can return to the Buckeye State as well as its roots in style with this event. That's right, a return to airport racing. We raced on them several times in the 50s, and to be honest with you, I don't know why we ever stopped. Bring in some temporary stands and facilities and you're good to go. Next we have Michigan the ensuing Sunday afternoon and Chicago that next Saturday night. Why so many Saturday night races? Well, we're in the middle of the summer, temperatures are brutal, and having a Saturday night race means that in the event of rain we can always postpone it to Sunday and not have half the fans in attendance bail on us. It's the same reason why I'm such a fan of noon and early afternoon starts. It gives us a lot more time to work with. For the July 4th weekend, we return to Daytona for the traditional 400-mile race on Saturday night. Now, I want to float an idea out there, and I'm willing to be talked out of it, but hear me out first. Instead of racing on the oval, why don't we do the road course instead? Teams want to save money by avoiding a demolition derby at these plate tracks, and this could serve that purpose. But if nobody wants to watch it, then my hands are tied. A god emperor that no one worships is no god at all, now is he? Again, this is just a suggestion. I want to gauge people's reaction to this proposal more than anything, so tell me what you think. IROC raced on the oval back in 2006 and it was a pretty fun event, so why don't we give this one a shot and just see what would happen? Next week on Saturday the 10th, we go to the Knoxville Raceway, which will play host to the first points-paying dirt race on the Cup Series schedule since 1970. The world capital of sprint car racing is pretty much ready to go for a big league NASCAR event, with suites and massive grandstands already built for the Knoxville Nationals in August. One small problem though. Knoxville Raceway is in Knoxville, Iowa, not Knoxville, Tennessee, and Knoxville Raceway is just 30 minutes south of Iowa Speedway in Newton, Iowa. So here's a solution. The Xfinity Series will run Iowa Speedway Sunday afternoon after the Cup race in Knoxville, and then next year we will alternate, with the Cup Series going to Iowa on Sunday and the Xfinity Series going to Knoxville Saturday night, and we'll keep alternating every year, kind of like what the German Grand Prix does with the Hockenheimring and the Nürburgring. Next weekend is the Pocono doubleheader with 2 points-paying races in a single weekend. Like I said before, I'm an agent of chaos and I can appreciate tracks that try to break the mold and think outside of the box. So Pocono gets to keep its 2-for-1 special. We'll see how it all works out later this year in our timeline and we'll make adjustments. So far, ticket sales are already through the roof, so it seems like this is a big hit. On the 24th is Houston, like we've already talked about, and then on the 7th of August on Saturday night is Gateway in the St. Louis area. Officially named Worldwide Technologies Raceway, this track has been yearning for a cup date since the early 2000s, and now they're finally going to get it. It's a big market and fans there are hungry for a race. I mean, even IndyCar damn near sells that joint out, so there's no reason not to give it a try. After that, we're going back to Watkins Glen on Sunday the 15th, and Bristol the Saturday night afterwards. The Bristol night race has always been a late summer classic, so I'm returning it to its traditional date in mid-August. On August 29th, Rockingham Speedway will make its long-awaited return to the Cup Series schedule after a 17-year hiatus. In 2018, the track was taken under new management, and the North Carolina state government allocated $8 million to renovate and maintain the property. With that big of a venue ready to go with campgrounds and seating capacity already in place, it's high time NASCAR made its return. The 2012 and 2013 truck races drew in big crowds for a third-tier NASCAR series, and the top division is sure to draw in even more people. At this point, you're probably wondering where North Wilkesboro Speedway is on the list, and truth be told, it isn't on here. Yet. The old track's going to take a lot of work to get it race ready again, and in my scenario, we've made a big push to make that happen. Keep an eye out for the 2022 schedule, where one of NASCAR's founding tracks makes its triumphant return. Darlington is still on Sunday night before Labor Day. After that, Indianapolis, and I'm not too sure whether to do the oval or the road course, to be honest. Both lower divisions are getting sent to IRP for sure, and if the Cup Series can't get people to show up at the big house, then they'll be racing at the short track as well. It's a fun track with multiple grooves of racing and tons of side-by-side action, and to be blunt, I'm looking for any reason I can to drop all 3 divisions to that track, that is, if Roger Penske will let me. New Hampshire rounds out the action in September, and an off week will mark the end of the summer stretch. Then we do COTA to put an end to the Texas Triple Crown, and you're probably wondering where I have the playoffs kicking in at this point, and what tracks will contain what rounds. And here's your answer. Playoffs are stupid and bad, and I'm not doing them because I'm God Emperor of NASCAR and I can do whatever I want. October doesn't have any new events going on besides COTA, so it'll be 4 straight Sunday events with Kentucky, Martinsville, Talladega, and the Charlotte Roval rounding out the month's activities. The Roval stays as a nod to Marcus Smith and his initiative to shake things up and create a great event in the process. I've attended both Roval races to date, and I have to say they have been damned fun and memorable events. I'm keeping it on the schedule for the foreseeable future. And then we finally wrap it all up at the end of the season with a return to the perennial finale venue, Atlanta Motor Speedway, on November the 7th. Having played host to the finale from 1987 until 2001, Atlanta is an obvious choice to be the end cap to the season. Atlanta has announced big plans to expand its venue into a one-stop shop of entertainment, including a casino, amusement park, and more. So why not give them the nod and see what they can do with it? My reasoning for ending the schedule a couple of weeks short is to avoid fighting with the NFL for ratings. NASCAR can win against the MLB and the NBA, but football, both professional and collegiate, is too big of an ask right now. And so we relegate the final 2 months of competition to noon Sunday slots to squeeze into the NFL's dead air. And so there it is, 36 races and 34 weeks of competition, with a few midweek ventures in big markets just to see what will happen, returns to legacy venues, and a couple of forays onto dirt returning to our roots. along with a return to airport racing and a few more road course events as well. Like it? Don't like it? Want to share your own? Let me know down in the comments, but be sure to keep it civil and not to incur the wrath of your God Emperor. Until next time, y'all take it easy.